Chapter -8, Escape, by Minnow. When I got to school, I noticed Skye and Ben lurking near my locker. Skye was fiddling with her little heart-shaped locket. She looked nervous. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Of course," I said, looking around in case any of Isla's pet teachers were nearby. "Not here," said Ben. "We'll be dead if the Baroness sees us." "Where?" I asked. "After school," said Skye. "But we're not allowed to go anywhere without a formal invitation." "Of course," I said. "Isla's rules about befriending orphans. So stupid." Skye and Ben looked embarrassed. "Your parents need to ring the centre," said Ben. "Today?" I asked. A cloud lifted from both their faces. "The Baroness mustn't know we've asked," said Skye. "Of course not. Leave it with me." "Thank you," said Skye. "Wait a sec," I whispered. "Don't call her Baroness. She can be the Eye of Mordor because she always has her eye on everything. Or better still, the Eye of Moron." Ben and Skye grinned, but moved off quickly. Using the mobile I'd hidden in the hem of my school jacket, I sent a text to Mum. I'd become very skilled at secret texting since Isla banned phones at school. I knew Mum would ring to arrange everything, and of course she did. Risking a detention, I snuck into the youth centre at lunchtime and told Ben and Skye to meet me at Isla's office after school. They looked as if someone had given them a ticket to the moon. I ran off to find Frank. I couldn't wait for classes to end. After school, a television crew turned up to interview Isla and the Blesso boys. Isla was showing off about her anti-bullying trophy. It was sickening. As I looked at her, I could almost picture the diseased heart I'd seen in my nightmare beating outside her body, gnashing its filthy teeth. Evil woman, I thought. But when she turned to look at us, I had to be polite. "We need the permission slip," I said, "for the walkers." Isla cut me off. Yes, I know all about it. We do have rules, of course, but what are rules if not for breaking?" Isla asked. She was totally faking it in front of the television people. "Home by 8:30 or you'll regret it." Her fake blue eyes looked all crazy happy and she laughed, but we knew how serious she was. When Isla turned back to the TV crew, we bolted. As we left the school grounds, I smiled at my favourite gum tree. I feel like it's my friend. Its bark is all loose, as if someone has dressed it in saggy white stockings. It looks silly and always makes me feel glad. On the way home, we saw Toby with his mother. They came over to talk to us. Toby looked so excited, as if he was in the presence of royalty. His mother smiled and said, "Thank you so much for taking care of Toby today." We all nodded, not knowing what to say. "I've lodged a formal complaint," she added, "but not with the school. I went straight to the Minister for Education. Those boys shouldn't have won a kindness award. They're thugs, both of them. I have no faith in the thieves. As far as I'm concerned, they really are thieves. They steal the confidence of children and replace it with fear." Skye nodded. "They do," she said. Toby beamed at us. "You're my favourite heroes." "You're mine," said Frank, tussling his hair. "Forever." Toby headed off, looking as happy as a puppy with a fluffy toy. Frank and I decided to take Ben and Skye to our favourite she-oak on the cliffs overlooking the tree. It's the best hideaway. I clambered up the trunk and lowered down our secret ladder. Once we were all up, we stashed the ladder so that no one could follow us. "Come out onto these branches," I said. "They sway really well." In a few minutes, we were all nestled in the arms of the old tree. I love it in there, all hidden behind the fringe of grey-green leaves that hang like long mutant pine needles. I started sharing my after-school snacks with everyone. I'm always hungry and hate having to give half my food to Frank, who never has any, so I always bring enough to feed both of us, plus a bit more. A flock of ocean gulls squawked nearby, but when we didn't throw them anything, they flew out over the ocean. "Amazing views," said Skye. "The best," said Frank. So good to be away from the thieves, said Ben. One of the teachers saw me crying at assembly, so now I have to go into isolation for the weekend and then have counselling from the Eye of Mordor. Call her the Eye of Moron, I said. She's such a moron. Absolutely, said Frank. Who makes anyone get counselling for crying when a song's played? Don't you have any relatives who can help you? I asked. Only an aunt, said Skye, and she's pathetic. Still, can't you live with her? Asked Frank. Nope, said Ben. Isla won't even let me go there to get my favourite teddy, said Skye. The Eye says that seeing our aunt increases our grief, said Ben. That doesn't even make sense, I said. Can't you sleep over on your birthday? Asked Frank. Ben shook his head. When is your birthday? I asked. I love knowing such things. The 11th of the 7th, said Ben. I'm the 11th of the 11th, I exclaimed. No way, said Skye. That's my birthday. How old are you? Nearly 11. We're twins. You're the 11th of the 11th, I asked, and you're turning 11? Skye beamed. Yes. I'm on the 3rd of the 9th, mumbled Frank, if anyone's interested. Ben nodded. I'm 12. You? 12, said Frank. The boys' conversation dried up, but Skye and I were madly making plans for a party. We can stand side by side, really straight, and become the number 11. Yes, and we can have long, thin biscuits and line them up to make 11s, I added. And sticks of celery and carrot, said Skye. The boys raised their eyebrows at one another. Minnow means little fish, I said, and you're up in the sky flying, so we could make the flying fish our symbol. Skye looked excited. Have you seen my locket? No way, I said. I couldn't believe it. On the heart-shaped locket was engraved a flying fish. My grandmother gave it to me. I might get one, I said, but only if it's okay with you. Of course, said Skye. And every time I have to fake happiness with the thieves, I'll think of our 11-11 party. Frank groaned. I'd hate to have to fake happiness, he said. Welcome to our world, said Ben. A gust of wind shook the tree. Swaying in the branches of the she-oak, Frank smiled at Ben, who smiled at Skye, who smiled at me. As if infected by all the smiling, we suddenly burst into laughter.